I'm gonna be honest with you. This right here feels like one of those moments where you can feel the front office scrambling a little bit. Not panicking, but definitely reacting. Because in the last 48 hours, something shifted. You can tell the plan changed. And when the plan changes this late, it usually means the Red Sox are trying to protect themselves from a bigger problem down the road. What's wild is that this all ties together. One move that looks small on the surface, almost like depth for depth's sake, and another situation that's getting quieter and more uncomfortable by the day. And if you've been paying attention all winter like we have, you already know why this matters so much for this roster, for opening day, and honestly for how serious this team actually is about contending. This isn't just about filling a spot. This is about options running out. This is about leverage, or the lack of it. And it's about the Red Sox realizing that waiting around has consequences, especially in the American League. So, before we break it all down, before we get into why this move happened now and what it might be protecting the team from, do me a quick favor. Drop a like if you're a real Red Sox fan. Subscribe if you haven't yet. This channel is brand new. We're pushing for our first 500 subscribers. And if you live and die with this team like I do, you're in the right place. All right, let's talk about the first move, because it says way more than it looks like on paper. Because this move might look small, but there's a lot packed into it. The Red Sox just signed Brendan Rodgers to a minor league deal with an invitation to Major League spring training. And yeah, this came literally one day after they agreed to a one-year deal with Isiah Kiner-Falefa. That timing is not an accident. That's a front office saying, okay, we need bodies, competition, and insurance now. Rodgers is 29 years old, and this is a classic prove-it situation. Former Gold Glove winner at second base in 2022, real defensive pedigree, but coming off a brutal lost season. Last year, he was with the Houston Astros, also on a minor league deal, and it just never got going. He only appeared in 43 games, hit 191, 2 home runs, 4 doubles, 11 RBIs, and a 5.44 OPS. And that strikeout rate? 9%? That's rough. There's no sugarcoating it. And the injuries? Even worse. Mid-June, oblique strain. Then, during rehab, a collision leads to a concussion and a fractured nose. Later on, back issues pop up. And that's it. Season over. He never makes it back. So yeah, you're not signing him for what he was last year. You're signing him for what he used to be, and what he might still be if things finally break right. Because before Houston, Rodgers spent 6 seasons with the Colorado Rockies. This is a former 3rd overall pick in the 2015 draft, taken 1 spot behind Alex Bregman. Back in the 2016 to 2019 window, Rodgers was viewed as one of the best position player prospects in all of baseball. That was real hype. Not fake prospect hype, real industry belief. The problem? His body just never cooperated. He played more than 102 games in a season only twice with Colorado. But when he was healthy, we saw flashes. Career-wise, he's a .261 hitter with 47 homers, 208 RBIs, and a 7.14 OPS. His best offensive year came in 2021 when he hit 284, slugged 15 home runs, and added 21 doubles. That's not a superstar, but that's a legit everyday big leaguer. And defensively, that's still his calling card. That Gold Glove came playing second base next to Trevor Story in Colorado. Rodgers has over 3,700 career innings at second base, and while he's played some shortstop, that's clearly where he's most comfortable. Even recently, he was credited with 2 defensive runs saved, though StatCast wasn't in love with him. 24th percentile range, 16th percentile arm strength in 2024. So yeah, he's not flashy, but he knows the position. Now zoom out, because this is where it really starts to make sense. The Red Sox are clearly stockpiling infield options. Second base and third base are both unsettled after Bregman's departure, and the team doesn't want to be boxed into one plan. Marcelo Mayer is still seen as a future answer, maybe even this year in some kind of platoon. Kiner Falefa can play multiple spots. On the 40-man, you've already got David Hamilton, Nick Sogard, and Nate Eaton. Rodgers isn't on the 40-man. There's no guarantee here. But if he comes into camp healthy and looks like even 80% of the guy he was in Colorado, he absolutely can force his way into the opening day conversation. And that's the key word: competition. This signing isn't about headlines. It's about protecting the roster from uncertainty. And speaking of uncertainty, this move starts to feel even louder when you look at what hasn't happened yet, especially with one specific trade target and one specific team that suddenly doesn't seem interested in helping Boston at all. Because once you connect those dots, this signing feels a lot less random and a lot more like a backup plan. But we'll get into that next. Now let's talk about the other side of this, because this is where things start to feel uncomfortable if you're a Red Sox fan. For months, Boston has been linked to just about every infielder on the market. And now, that list has basically evaporated. As spring training gets closer, the Red Sox are staring at a reality where most of their preferred options are gone, and the ones still available might not be available to them. Fans have talked non-stop about Nico Hoerner and Matt Shaw from the Chicago Cubs, and especially Isaac Paredes from the Houston Astros. Those names have been floating around all offseason. But here's the problem: Boston hasn't made any real progress on any of them. At least nothing publicly. And that silence is loud. Paredes in particular checks so many boxes it almost hurts. He's a third baseman, a right-handed pull hitter, and his swing is basically built to punish the Green Monster. Power, plate presence, lineup balance, he makes too much sense. Even Buster Olney said Boston is the best fit for Paredes. But here's the catch: Olney also believes the Astros won't trade him to Boston. And honestly, the reasoning checks out. In a tweet on February 5th, Olney pointed out that with the Seattle Mariners, Toronto Blue Jays, and New York Yankees all being strong, the Red Sox and Astros could easily be fighting for the same wild card spot by the end of the season. Why would Houston help a direct playoff competitor? Olney actually sees Boston as a wild card team heading into the year, and the Astros might be right there too. And if anything, things could be even tighter than that. Olney didn't even factor in the Baltimore Orioles, who clearly got better this offseason by signing Pete Alonso and trading for Taylor Ward. Let's not forget, the Astros finished the 2025 season with the same record as the Detroit Tigers and still missed the postseason because Detroit held the tiebreaker. That's how thin the margin was. Now flip that back to Boston. The Red Sox won 2 more games than Houston last year, despite ranking 27th in home runs in the second half of the season. Think about that for a second. If a bat like Paredes was in this lineup, someone who could actually change games with one swing, there's a real argument that Boston wins more games and maybe doesn't exit the playoffs after just the wild card round. And this is where the frustration really sets in. Boston turned to Houston out of desperation. After missing completely on Bregman with what was described as a pathetic offer, and after the Arizona Diamondbacks pulled Ketel Marte off the trade market, the Red Sox suddenly had nowhere else to go. No leverage, no plan B ready. Now, with spring training just days away, they're scrambling to finish the roster. And from Houston's perspective, it makes perfect sense not to help them. If the Astros decide they want to rob Boston blind in a Paredes deal, which they are fully entitled to do, then the Red Sox cannot afford to bite. They've already made nearly a dozen trades this winter and have depleted much of their movable depth. Making another massive trade right now would be short-sighted, especially when those same resources might be desperately needed at the trade deadline if the team is actually in a playoff position. That's the prison right there. The Red Sox backed themselves into a corner by putting all their eggs in the Bregman basket and waiting too long to react once that plan failed. And now, if the Astros have anything to say about it, Boston may be forced to stick to free agents and depth signings, moves like the one we talked about earlier, just to survive this moment. So when you look at everything together, the minor league signing, the sudden infield stockpiling, the stalled trade talks, it all starts to feel connected. And that brings us to the big question. What do these two stories together actually say about where this team is right now? So, when you put both of these stories together, not separately, but as part of the same moment, it paints a very clear picture of where the Red Sox are right now. This team isn't clueless. This team isn't asleep. But this team is reacting, not dictating. And there's a difference. On one side, you've got the Red Sox bringing in a former Gold Glove infielder on a minor league deal, inviting him to spring training, basically saying, "We need competition, depth, and a safety net." That's what the Brendan Rodgers move really is. It's not a splash, it's protection. It's acknowledging that second base and third base are still unresolved, that relying on one young player or one plan would be reckless, and that they need as many outs as possible before opening day. On the other side, you've got a front office that waited too long on the trade market. They bet heavy on one outcome, it didn't happen, and now the rest of the league knows they're the ones under pressure. Houston knows it. Chicago knows it. Everybody knows it. And when that happens, leverage disappears fast. That's why these rumors about stalled talks matter so much. It's not just about Isaac Paredes. It's about timing. It's about how quickly a window can close when you hesitate. And it's about the reality that the Red Sox might be good enough to compete for a wild card, but not strong enough to force other teams to help them get there. So, is this moment positive or concerning? Honestly, it's decisive. The Red Sox are still very much in this. They have talent, they have young pieces, they have pitching that can keep them alive. But the margin for error is thin. Every depth signing, every minor move, every backup plan tells you the same thing. This season is going to be won or lost on adaptability, health, and whether someone unexpectedly steps up. And as a fan, I'm cautiously hopeful, but I'm watching closely. Because this is the kind of season where smart adjustments matter just as much as star power. If you felt any of that the way I did, do me a favor. Hit the like button and let me know what you think in the comments. Do these moves make you feel safer or more nervous? This is Red Sox Today. The channel is brand new. We're pushing toward our first 500 subscribers. And if you're a Sox fan who actually likes real opinions and real conversations, not corporate PR talk, I'd love to have you here. Subscribe, stick around, and let's ride this season together.